able to do too much. You do play that Hisuian heavy ball to fetch out a basic that would be prized, but it only gets a basic. It can't grab that Aerodactyl V-Star, and this is where you run the risk of playing those 1-1 lines to try to counter a deck. Sometimes you'll just prize it against it.
And with Maximino starting off with Lugia V in the active spot, has the Ultra Ball. What's the discard? Any Archeops for this? Doesn't look like it. Gets rid of a Marnie and the Escape Rope.
If the first one's not an Archeops, you definitely know it's not going to be in that hand.
There is the Lugia V-Star in the hand. There is still hope maybe for Garrett to maybe land a clutch Judge or something just to stop this V-Star from coming through, really foil the opportunity of maybe an Oranguru or the Archeops to even get set up correctly. And if that's the case, couple early prizes taken. Maybe we grab that Aerodactyl V-Star out of the prizes to get that Ancient Star through.
Yeah, so maybe going second here is going to be a little bit worse for the Wary here. You definitely want to get that first attack compared to your opponent, but you still have access to Path to the Peak and Judge. That combination has been so powerful for this Mew VMAX deck in a variety of matchups. Why not in Lugia V-Star? You're able to shut off that Summoning Star ability, and from there, if your opponent can't Summoning Star, you're going to be winning the game.
Yeah. Maximino has, let me see, one Pumpkaboo in here, and of course the Lost Vacuum to try to bump that stadium, but we've seen these matchups get pretty grindy, right? You stick one path, they answer it. You stick the second path, they answer it, and then maybe third path comes through. But it's just a matter of if you're going to have enough time if you're in Garrett Williamson's shoes. But you want to be in his shoes right now, opening up with a Battle VIP pass.
Yeah, not too bad. When now, this is where you get the bad news. You're not going to grab that Aerodactyl V anytime soon, seeing that V-Star in the prize cards. And like you said, you're going to have to play a normal game of Mew VMAX. But a normal game of Mew VMAX still is a pretty good game. We've
seen a lot of them so far on the stream, and it does what it needs to do very consistently. Double Genesect V being put onto the bench. Ultra Ball now needs to decide what the discard. Gets rid of the Aerodactyl V, and this is just going to signal to the opponent, yes, I don't have to worry about the Aerodactyl for at least this first game.
Yeah, discarding the Silene as well, so no way to bring it back. And this is very good sequencing from Garrett. Plays that Battle VIP pass first. You see the V-Stars prize. You're like, okay, I don't need this Aerodactyl V. You're also going second, which in this matchup is not as good for the Aerodactyl because you want to use that Ancient Star before Summoning Star.
So Double Tripper Energy does find a nice attachment there onto Mew V on the bench. Fusion Strike system comes online, draws up to 4. We've got a Cramomatic here, discarding another Cramomatic. We still got one more Fusion Strike system.
If it's a heads, it's going for a Battle VIP pass, most likely.
Yes! Everything's coming together. This deck is truly going to pop off. With Cramomatic hitting the hedge, you can look through the deck for any card you like, and that second Battle VIP pass is immediately found. Going to use it right now while you're still looking through the deck, and now we can get Genesect V number 3 down, and Genesect V number 4 is in the... No, it's the Mew that's in the prizes.
Yeah, okay. And you're going to want Oricorio in this matchup. It doesn't do too much with the way the math works out, except for forcing Maximino to use the 4th powerful colorless energy.
Okay.
Without the Oricorio, you can take a knockout with 3 and a choice belt. But because the Oricorio reduces the 20, you need the full 330 to take the knockout.
And forcing Lugia to have those sorts of resources can get pretty clunky for them. If the Lugia player had already allocated those powerful colorless energy elsewhere, it can be so problematic to get that key knockout on the Mew VMAX. So I like bringing the Oricorio out, and this completes the setup beautifully.
Talking about completing the setup, Path to the Peak is the stadium for Garrett. So now all rule box Pokemon have their abilities shut off, but you already used everything you want to use, and that means it'll force Maximino to use something like that Lost Vacuum or Pumpkaboo to get rid of the stadium.
And once that Pumpkaboo comes down, the issue becomes it's just taking up a bench slot. So then when you get your Summoning Star online, you have less flexibility there to line up your attackers and prepare them ahead of time. Now so with the Quick Ball, gets the Pumpkaboo, uses Pumpkin Pit to get rid of that Path to the Peak. That activates Luminion, very important.
Nice.
So that way we grab Professor's Research. So it looked like things would get pretty dire for Mendez, but Everything was okay thanks to a simple quick ball, opening up this turn, opening up this hand, and Professor's Research going to get a fresh 7 here off the top.
Yeah, that was pretty much a perfect 4-card hand from Maximino there. Being able to have that V-Star, play the quick ball, get the Pumpkaboo for the Pumpkin Pit, and then you have now your Luminous Sign from Lumineon V turned on, and that fresh Professor's Research. Now you just need to get that second Archeops in the discard. I don't know if we saw a way to discard it in the hand, but there is one there.
Yes, Evolution Incense going to grab it at the very least. And already, you know, like a quick ball being used, an ultra ball being used, the Professor's Research being used, it does get a little bit difficult to get these down into the discard. So,
I do believe we have the Aurora Energy, which will be able to discard the Archeops. So 2 in the discard, I believe.
Wonderful. Everything's coming up roses for Maximino. And with the Summoning Star, V-Star power, we now have Archeops online. The bench is now full, so it means that Lugia has to be the primary attacker here mostly. Lumineon V has to find a window of opportunity to get into the active spot and shuffle itself back into the deck with Aqua Return. But now this telegraphs massively to Garrett, you know, what the sequence of attackers is really going to look like from here.
Goes ahead and grabs that V-Guard energy, reducing 30 damage from your opponent's Pokemon V. That is going to be very important for Garrett's attacks here. You're trying to take a knockout in one hit most of the time. So that's essentially just an extra power tablet Garrett needs to play.
And you can see both players forcing the extra sequencing and the extra resources from the opponents. And when the chips are down, if you force your opponent to take a risky overextension where they have to use their resources a bit blindly, hope that they come up on those power tablets when the moment is right and they come up empty, they can just paint themselves into a corner where they extend for no reason. And so now Garrett gets the Mew VMAX, has power tablet number 1, is already beginning to extend here. Lost City thinning the hand down even more, and Cramomatic to discard one more Lost Vacuum. What are we going to find? It's a heads.
One thing that's going to be pretty good here is just getting another Mew V down. You do have one prize, and so you can do that to draw even more cards. You get something to attach that double turbo energy that's in hand. You can go the route of finding that choice belt just so you can guarantee the extra damage that you're eventually going to need this turn. You're going to need to draw into everything.
And choice belt is the decision here. Going to attach that to Mew VMAX. One power tablet being used. Getting over the V-Guard energy so important. And we got to remember as well, hopefully somewhere in this draw sequence we get access to the Forest Seal Stone, and that can be the final piece of the puzzle, or maybe even the penultimate piece of the puzzle to find that last piece.
Well, off of this 4 cards, that was actually pretty good. Found another power tablet and the Forest Seal Stone. You have an Ultra Ball to clear their hand if you want.
Didn't get the Mew V to attach the double turbo energy to Forest. Oh my goodness, it's really coming together.
Calm down, Garrett. Calm down.
The power tablets are stacking. The Lugia V-Star is going to go down, and all of this energy with it.
And with the 3rd power tablet, that is enough to take the knockout. The choice belt is negated by the V-Guard energy. And with the extra 90, you're doing 280 exactly.
Wonderfully done by Garrett. And still one more Fusion Strike system to use. And now is looking at the Ultra Ball here to discard a Judge and Path to the Peak. Wants to keep this Lost City in play.
Yeah, we're going to see the Mew V now. You get to attach the double turbo energy, draw 6 brand new cards off that last Fusion Strike system, and hopefully set up next turn just in case Maximino gets a knockout with something like a Yveltal or that bench Lugia.
Yeah, the Mew V is so good here to receive that double turbo energy. And now with this fresh draw for 6 cards, we're looking for Mew VMAX. And especially having access to Forest Seal Stone is going to give you so much versatility going into the next turn to respond to Maximino's response to this turn. 2 prizes are going to be taken as well. And looking at what we have in the prizes, most likely another Mew V going to be added to Garrett's hand pretty soon.
Well, all that for nothing because Hisuian Heavy Ball is going to shuffle it up for you.
Good, just adding a little bit more spice. Hisuian Heavy Ball. There's actually a couple quick balls in the hand, so if you are able to shuffle those down to the bottom, maybe get those in the hand, it allows you to thin down even more efficiently for the Fusion Strike systems. we got bored of it the same way we're kind of bored on Lugia back in its heyday. We really got bored of Mew VMAX just drawing tons of cards and seeming to be able to do whatever it wanted at any given time. But it is a very elegant machine to see in motion.
Yeah, especially when you draw 3 power tablets and a choice belt, but
Beautifully
there is
done.
the knockout. Techno Blast dealing 190 damage, plus all those damage modifiers, 280. And the Lugia gets the Lost Zone. Yep, it doesn't matter, but it matters on the board.
And now we're back over to Maximino. Has to figure out what to promote. The second Lugia V-Star going to be promoted into the active. I was wondering if maybe Luminion would be a good promotion there because you can just attach from hand for turn to retreat it. Do you have a switch in this deck? Because Evital wants to be the next response, right? To take 3 prizes and kind of jump out ahead in this game.
Yeah, well, the thing that is rough is Garrett has the Oricorio in play, so that means you're going to need the full 4 powerful colorless energies and a choice belt to take the one-hit knockout on the Mew VMAX. The thing we saw, though, the first powerful colorless energy was on the first Lugia V-Star.
Yes.
So there's actually not a way for this to take the knockout, I believe, unless there's something like a Leon or something in the deck, and there's not.
Yeah, so it's just going to be attacking, trying to get some damage down. So this is going to be pretty rough, unfortunately. Here comes Evital. And just going to try to set that up ever so slightly to prepare for next turn. A double turbo energy. Maybe, Heat Fire is also part of this equation. So this is a big telegraph for Garrett.
Yes.
You see this big threat on the bench. Do you want to just grab your 2 prizes from the Lugia V-Star, just take your lumps with the Evital swinging back, or are you going to try to boss this up, do you think?
It's a little awkward, just because Garrett still does need 4 prizes to finish this game off. You are a little bit behind because Maximino's going to get damage on your Mew VMAX, so you're going to have to hopefully eye down, maybe taking a knock. Oh, no, never mind. We got a boss's orders on the Mew V on the bench, so Maximino's going the way of 2 prizes, 2 prizes, 2 prizes. I'm going to ignore your big VMAX Pokemon altogether.
Gets around it, gets the knockout. Mew V going to the Lost Zone, and then that Tempest Dive discarding the Lost City. Back over to Garrett. Maximino, we thought it would be pretty awkward, but simply says, I can't deal with the Mew VMAX, so I'm going to go around it. Now closing in on 2 prizes remaining. Mew V reset onto the bench with another double turbo energy. Garrett can take down the Lugia V-Star, but now we have Evital. All we need is a Primal Turbo to connect, plus a gusting effect to bring up the Genesect V. Maximino will be able to take this first game. Cram-O-Matic discards Hisui and Heavy Ball.
Looking like a little talking between the judges and players here, but with the way the board kind of sits now, Garrett's in a very rough position because you can target down that Evital on the bench with something like a boss's orders, but if you do that, you're not disrupting Maximino's hand at all. So just a single Serena or boss's orders from Maximino, which I believe is just boss's orders in the deck, will be able to bring up a Genesect or the Mew V, take the last 2 prizes, boom, we're going to game 2.
So we need to somehow get a Gust plus Disruption, and we know that for a while Mew was running, cross switchers because they loved having that Disruption alongside the ability to switch up a key attacker. Oh, so I guess the ruling there was that Mew V actually does go to the discard pile because the Lost City gets discarded.
The discard happens first and then the knockout, I guess.
Right, okay.
You finish all effects first.
All right, very, very, very...
It's not going to matter in this game, but it is very good to iron out the correct play for both of these players.
Well, there you go. And I know a lot of our audience at home is probably yelling at us. No, it doesn't go to the Lost Zone, but there we go. So now Mew V in the discard pile. Very important to maintain the board state no matter how inconsequential it might seem. But what is very consequential is what's going to be grabbed off this Forest Sealstone. Still has access to it, and it can find that card that is missing to tie this turn together.
Something like Roxanne is what you want to kind of hope for here, and hope that Maximino just draws all the energy that you would need to search out with the Archeon. It's rough. Your opponent kind of has this checkmate board position right now, and you're not really able to play around it.
There is Yeah, the powerful colorless energy is attached. There was an Aurora energy attached earlier. Heat Fire on the Evital. And there's still the proper amount of special energy in the deck still for Primal Turbo for this Evital to get set up. Escape Rope now being used. Maximino decides on the Luminion V to come up into the active spot.
I mean, that could be pretty big, but you're still staring down that Amazing Destruction next turn, and thanks to both of those Primal Turbo from Archeops.
At the end of the day, you're still taking 2 prizes. Maximino can just promote afterward. Is Garrett trying to take an in-between play, you know, bring this Luminion V up, maybe force 1 Primal Turbo into a switch or an Aqua return, try to find something a little bit better here. The Lost Vacuum gets rid of the Echoing Horn.
Again, just doing that to thin the hand down so you can draw more with Fusion Strike system.
And after drawing back up to 6 cards for all 6 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, Garrett still finds himself in a very rough spot.
This has all come down to basically Maximino's going first in this match. It really changes the tide of how things go. And one card that could change the tide is Big Parasol.
Big Parasol was found. And what this allows you to do is you attach it to Pokemon, and when they're in the active spot, all effects of attacks are negated.
Unfortunately, that Mew V came down this turn, so it's not able to evolve into a VMAX and stay in the active spot. So the Big Parasol not really doing much of anything. You would love to see it on that VMAX instead of that Choice Belt, but of course you needed the Choice Belt to take the one-hit knockout on the Lugia V-Star.
So the play was Lost Vacuum to get rid of your own Choice Belt rather than the Forest Seal Stone?
Honestly, yeah.
And then reattach so that way you have Mew VMAX in the active.
Granted, you would have to know that you're going to draw into the Big Parasol, but that's one thing you have to kind of hope for.
And that's something we talked about earlier, Jeremy, right? Is you're forcing your opponent into a situation where they have to play blind. You have to extend and hope you get that resource off of the draws. Even when you're drawing so many cards as the Mew VMAX player, you can never truly guarantee. And there's the boss's orders from Mew V on the bench. Lugia V-Stars powered up with double powerful colorless energy. Easy knockout, game 1 going to Maximino.
And that's where all the talking and theory crafting doesn't really matter because your opponent just has boss's orders in hand. And, you needed to play the Roxanne in the first place. Like, it's very awkward spot with just having to battle against a Lugia V-Star deck that has 2 attackers basically powered up.
It was a great kind of forked scenario, having the Evital partially set up, having the Lugia V-Star ready to go, and just presenting those 2 threats, and having boss's orders to choose your target, not just presenting a wide variety of threats, but having access to the full bench. Mew draws tons of cards, but can't really search out those utility cards effectively outside of using the one-time Forest Seal Stone, using that Star Alchemy. And we'll see if Garrett can adapt for this matchup. The Aerodactyl V-Star was in the prizes, so as long as we can get that 1-1 line set up, turn off the Summoning Star, Garrett can very easily carry this to a Game 3.
Yeah, going first, you're going to be able to get that Ancient Star out before Summoning Star, and that is goal number 1. Every time you play against Lugia with this kind of Mew VMAX deck, you're hoping to win that opening coin flip, and if you do, it's going to make the whole match a lot easier just because you go first game 1, you can lose game 2, and then go first game 3. It's going to be the reverse end of that, and Garrett's going to have to kind of climb a little hill to figure things out from here.
Getting some eyes on the opening hand. I think Garrett's starting an Oricorio.
Yeah, the hand did not look very good from my point of view, at least.
Mew VMAX, Power Tablet being in the prizes, probably the only important note here. Everything else looks pretty tame. An Archeops and an Evolution Incense might be a little clunky for Maximino, but all you need to do is draw into the Archeops naturally and have an Ultra Ball to make things make sense. Here comes Cram-O-Matic.
All hope riding on this heads, and it is a tails.
This hand is looking very rough.
Garrett's going to have to pass, and this is not what you want to see. We might have a quick one here.
Evolution Incense. Going to be digging through the deck now. Lugia V starting off in the active spot. Archeops being pulled. Going to quickly look through the deck, see what prize cards are there. What is missing indeed. And I don't think there is a way for this deck to take like a turn 1
No,
knockout.
yeah,
but
not at all.
it's just the fact you're losing out on so much momentum by essentially letting the Lugia V deck go first while having the bonus being able to play a supporter card.
Yeah, and it's exactly what I was saying before. The whole point of this matchup and why you play cards like Aerodactyl V-Star is so when you go first, you have an overwhelmingly positive matchup against this deck. If you're not able to get set up, there's nothing you can do.
It's just a series of coin flips not going in Garrett's way. The coin flip to for the game 1, and now the coin flip for the Cram-O-Matic. If you had gotten that Battle VIP pass, off of the Cram-O-Matic, it just opens that hand wide. But really unfortunate here. Maximino is still going to get a fantastic start with 2 Lugia V, has the double turbo energy attachment, can even go for Read the Wind to draw a few more cards.
Honestly, it's going to have to. This hand... Oh, no, you have a Professor's Research. All right, we're good. We're good. I guess debating what to... If play down the Raikou, but you don't need to play it down. You're going to research, just draw your cards, get set up for next turn.
Especially taking the experience of game number 1, you want to have a little bit more bench space to facilitate your Summoning Star, have access to that Pumpkin Pit from Pumpkaboo. Better not to overbench early. So there is indeed Read the Wind. Lugia V number 3 being discarded to draw 3 more cards, and it's over to Garrett in the Battle VIP pass. 1 turn too late.
Yeah.
Judge comes through. 4 new cards have to be gotten here, and they have to be gigantic.
It needs to be Genesect, Mew, Mew.
You've got to. Judge has to basically become double Battle VIP pass right here, right now.
And then you need to draw into the Path to the Peak. And then you need to draw into the double turbo energies to attack next turn. You need to draw into the Mew VMAX. It's a lot needed right now. You have just a lone Oricorio against the world.
All right, let's see it. I mean, if you tell Mew you've got to draw a lot of cards in order to win, they say, don't tempt me with a good time.
How about a double 4 Sealstone that you can't really use?
Ooh,
and just another Tails. This is
oh, not like this. And there's nothing to use the for a Sealstone. It's important to note it's a V-Star power. It has to be attached to a Pokemon V.
While we have a little bit of time to talk about something other than the game, because there's not much going on. One interaction that's actually going to change with the new set is that Cram-O-Matic and for a Sealstone. Item cards are now getting a little distinction for the tools.
Yes.
Pokemon tool cards are no longer items. So that means something like a Cram-O-Matic, you can't discard a for a Sealstone once rotation happens and the new set comes out.
Yeah, and then when you have effects that search for items, you can't find the for a Sealstone and keep thinning. So it's going to be a distinction that we don't really understand the repercussions of fully yet, but will be very exciting going forward. But there it is. Yeah, the Lugia V-Star evolution, the Oricorio is the only Pokemon in play, and Maximino is the 2-0 victor over Mew VMAX.
Yeah, we had a good game 1, kind of a little back and forth. Maximino had the kind of checkmate situation with double boss's orders in hand, really, and having that Yveltal charged up, ready to go. Meanwhile, Garrett can't really do much the last couple turns of game 1, and then you definitely couldn't do anything these 2 turns in game 2.
The Cram-O-Matic, it was so heartbreaking. All we needed was a heads there to find something. Massively far behind. Let's not sugarcoat it. Still very far behind in that second game, but to even have the pretense of putting up a fight, you had to land one of those heads to try to come back into the game, to get the Aerodactyl V down, do something. But that's card games. Like a deck that gets set up and draws